A lot of controversy around him. He was projected to be a top 3 pick after the college football season ended. But according to reports, his stock has been falling. Peter King says the Niners' number 3 pick is a, quote, 2-horse race between Mac Jones and Trey Lance. And Fields is apparently out of the running. So, Acho, you surprised Fields' draft stock has fallen?
I am, because in perspective of every quarterback's flaws, and all the quarterbacks we have flaws, and it's our job to be nitpicky about those flaws, Justin Fields' flaws are no greater than his competitors. Justin Fields, Ohio State quarterbacks, they haven't done well recently. Well, the greatest Alabama quarterback in recent history, maybe the greatest college quarterback based upon efficiency, was battling against Ryan Fitzpatrick last year to keep his job. So Alabama quarterbacks haven't done well recently, and BYU quarterbacks since 1990s are fairly non-existent. So I don't know how you can say Ohio State quarterbacks haven't done well, use that as condemnation against Justin Fields, but let that not be condemnation against Mac Jones or against Zach Wilson or against Trey Lance. Other things with Justin Fields, they can't process that quickly. But Justin Fields has more touchdown passes over the last 2 years than any of the other quarterbacks. He's up there with Trevor Lawrence. So I am surprised he's fallen cell, because when you look at Justin Fields' flaws versus everyone else's flaws, their flaws are just as great, if not greater. To me, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense to me at all. I called 10 of his games, guys, 10. And I feel like I'm frustrated, to be honest with you, because what has perpetuated about Justin is false. Not like, oh, in my opinion, it's just flat false. Okay. And I think that's not right. And it's frustrating to me. The first thing is like this whole thing that kind of like spurred up quietly. There was like, oh, his work ethic was questioned. I did 10 of his games, 10. And never one time did a strength coach, I talked with Mick Moriarty, his head coach Ryan Day, his quarterback coach Mike Yurcich 1 year, other guys since, Urban Meyer. I mean, anybody around that organization, that program, and it was never even a whisper, not even a whisper. And trust me, coaches are honest. Like, you can get this. You'll get from a coach, you'll hear like, well, you know, we're working with him on how to be a student of the game. That's code for like, hey, he doesn't get it yet. You know, he's learning how to become a better worker. That's code for he doesn't know how to work. I never heard that about Justin Fields. I heard the exact opposite. He came in there, he transferred in, his teammates immediately gravitated towards him. He works hard in the weight room. He went on a vegan diet, committed himself to that because he thought it would be better for his body. He single-handedly almost got the Big Ten back onto the field. You don't do that if you're lazy and not a good worker. So that's number one. It was totally false, and it was not right. The second one about the Ohio State quarterback, you brought up some of the statistics. Let me just give you some actual specific statistics between him and Dwayne Haskins, in particular at Ohio State. Dwayne Haskins ran Ryan Day's offense. Justin Fields ran Ryan Day's offense, but did they? It was actually very different. Ryan and I have sat down and talked about this at length. Dwayne Haskins didn't have the mobility to get away from trouble, so the ball had to get out of his hand quickly. Right? So what did they do? They threw the ball short and allowed playmakers to run after the catch. Paris Campbell, Terry McLaurin, 50% of the production for passing for Dwayne Haskins came after the catch. Okay. His air production was 42nd in the Power 5 because it was just like this, bang, 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 right? Get the ball out as quickly as you can. With a non-mobile quarterback who really didn't have a great ability to even get away from pressure in the pocket. So there was that part. Justin Fields comes in and it changed. They started attacking the field. They started attacking the intermediate zones. Why? Because he could see the field. He could process information. He was accurate down the field. He had a strong arm, and he was mobile to boot. So he could get himself open to the tune of 70 to 72% of his production in subsequent years, 70 and then 72 of his passing production came through the air. That was number one in Power 5. So it wasn't even a comparable system, right? Like, it's totally different. And to say that he doesn't process information is an out and out lie. He just doesn't. You haven't watched the Penn State game or the Clemson game. You haven't seen him throw those intermediate throws where he's sitting and waiting for a middle field intermediate zone read route. Do you know how long that takes? The slot player has to get over the linebacker. Then he's got to get up to the safety. Is it middle closed? Is it middle open? Now I'm going to bend my route, find the space, and then the ball is going to be released. That's why he holds the ball a little bit. It's not because he can't process information. It's because he's athletic enough to do so, and he's waiting for Chris Olave to attack the space down the field, and then he's attacking with his strong arm and his accuracy. He only had like 9 turnovers in his career. I don't understand the narrative about Justin Fields. He's my second best quarterback in the draft, and the last time we saw him, in particular against Clemson, by the way, against Trevor Lawrence, the presumptive number 1 pick, we were talking about him maybe being that number 1 pick. Why? Because he was putting on a historically great performance against Clemson, one of the great programs in college football, in a game in which we thought, at least I did, he may have lacerated his spleen. Like he was playing hurt and injured. This guy is a warrior. He's smart. He's competitive. He's athletic. He's got a strong arm. He's got an accurate arm. He can disseminate information quickly. I have no idea why you wouldn't take him in this draft.
Love everything you guys have said. You know me, Acho. You know me, Joe. I flipped the coin as well. So I'm out here agreeing with you guys. Why are people lying on Justin Fields? But then I flipped the coin. Why are some people probably telling the truth about Justin Fields? So let's give some credence to those who may just be telling the truth. They're not all liars. One, I went through this draft process. Acho, you know about it. The medical clearance is interesting. I remember going through it, and everyone thought, they were saying, Marcel's going to go in the first round. I said, no. I went to Columbia, Ivy League. I went against nerds. Yale, Princeton's going to hurt me in game film. But also I knew something that everyone else didn't know. I didn't pass the medical clearance with flying colors. They showed me a curvature in my back, and they were like, that's a little intense in terms of your body and your body structure. I was like, whatever. First surgery I ever had, back surgery. I take you to Deshaun Watson, who didn't pass with flying colors as well. Remember, he had the ACL injury as a freshman at Clemson. What happens when he gets to the NFL? In practice, tears his ACL. Justin Fields has recently, it seems like, comes out and talks about him having epilepsy. Now, I know that no one is going to come out and talk negative about Justin Fields in that respect, but let's just be real how the NFL process works, especially medical clearances. Some teams may be wanting to put out bad information on Justin Fields, knowing about the medical issues that it can attach to, so he can drop, so he can fall right in their laps. There's a little bit of poker being played here. It's not always lies. Let's also look at the fact that he's in a bad neighborhood. He comes from a bad situation. Ohio State quarterback, say what you want, man. Good Lord, it's not ideal. Since 2003, the Buckeyes have had 5 quarterbacks drafted in the league. Only one, Craig Krenzel, had a winning record, and he was 3-2. And I'm not going to attach him to his Ohio State pedigree totally, but just being real, there is a little skepticism, a little poker being played, and I think it was all triggered maybe because of the medical issue. Last thing I will say is, if you're the number 2 prospect overall in the entire NFL draft,